Looking back on my 20 years in corporate roles, I realized that I made some mistakes that cost me time, money, and even opportunities. But each one of those taught me something valuable, so I want to share it all with you today. Overworking without prioritizing visibility. The reason that I'm specifically using the word overworking is because many of us who are high achievers and wanting to get ahead work more than 40 hours a week. I'm never going to tell you that you can get ahead without working more than 40 hours a week, because very often that's what it takes. It's not always visible, but it's a reality that I don't see changing anytime soon if you really are trying to get ahead. The difference, though, between somebody who is overworking and somebody who's working more than 40 hours is this. They have prioritized exactly what they're working on, and they are looking specifically at the outcomes or the impact that that work is making, and they're focusing in on that. And so a lot of times that's the difference between being busy and being productive. Overworking falls kind of into the camp of being busy, whereas working on things that are impact and outcome oriented are really about prioritizing and focusing on those things and letting go of the things that are not related to that. I have a really short video on the Eisenhower Matrix. I will link it somewhere up here, and you can watch that. It's like 3 minutes long, and it'll show you exactly how to pare down to what's the most important. Not asking for help or feedback early in my career. And those are two parts: the not asking for help and the feedback. Let's tackle the help first. When you're early in your career, the last thing that you want to do is ask for help, because you want to show that you're bringing something to the table. But the reality is, asking for help allows you to move forward quicker, and it allows you to build your skill set faster. So if you can Google something, of course, don't ask for help. Go figure out the answer, because it's Googleable. But there is nothing wrong with asking for help when you need it, rather than wasting time and cycles on trying to figure something out on your own when you could just as easily ask. You think it's actually moving you forward, but not asking for help means that you don't have the EQ to realize when you should pause and stop wasting time and just get some help on that particular thing and add that to your knowledge bank and keep going. All right, let's tackle the second part, which is feedback. Not all feedback is good. Not all feedback should be taken. Let's just get that out of the way. And here's why. Feedback from somebody who is looking at it too closely through their own lens of who they are and what they would do based on their own personality, their own role, and where they're headed in their career is not necessarily feedback that you should take on board. But feedback that you have actively sought out from somebody that you respect, that's a mentor, that's a career coach, is feedback that gives you the ability to shift from your own perception to a wider perspective. And that's feedback that you want to take on board. And here's the thing, a lot of times it doesn't feel like feedback. It feels more like a friend that's like sharing something that they see with you. And a lot of times you don't feel bad when you hear it. You're like, man, thanks for telling me, I didn't realize. Feedback that isn't constructive in that way, I would say, and I don't care if this is an unpopular opinion, I would say ignore it, right? Take the feedback that's good, because if you listen to all the feedback, firstly, it's very overwhelming. And secondly, you're going to start doubting everything that you do, and your confidence is going to plummet. So take and start with the feedback from the people that genuinely care about you and that are doing that to help you, and there's no what's in it for them. Focusing on pleasing my boss rather than building broader relationships. There's nothing wrong with pleasing your boss as long as you're doing it with the bigger picture in mind. However, focusing solely on that and not building broader relationships can hurt you in the long run. And here's how. If anything happens to your team, or your boss or your manager doesn't make your team be a key element of the business, a critical component of the business, and over time, most companies are usually looking at doing efficiency, and that can happen a lot of times through cuts. So if your department is considered non-critical, then your department can be impacted. And so if you haven't focused on broader relationships, and your boss isn't doing that part of navigating the corporate world or the company, then your job is always going to be a little bit at risk, because you've just kind of stayed tucked in that spot, and you're counting on your boss and your boss alone to do all the heavy lifting. Some bosses, managers are able to do that, and some are not. And you just kind of leaving your future to that, it limits you hugely. So let's talk about the broader relationships part. When you're building broader relationships, this means key people in the organization that will support where your career is going. So get clear on where it's going and then say who in my organization or who in my business area. So if you are in the product area, that may mean networking outside of your specific organization with other product people. You're always trying to create opportunities for what's next. Ignoring personal development in favor of technical skills. This is a big one, and I see people do this all the time, so don't get caught in this trap. You're better than that. Technical skills are great. They're really, really important. The hard skills, whether it's technical or other hard skills that make you excellent at your job, are fantastic, and you should absolutely do those. This isn't an either or though. And personal development is about things much broader than that. So these are a lot of your soft skills, whether it's communication, whether it's presentations, whether it's thinking about your own career growth and what are the key relationships you need to build. So the key point here is not to kind of take an either or approach, but to really look at both holistically. And very often the hard skills and technical skills you can get in your day-to-day job, or you can take very specific training out there related to your area of expertise to kind of keep leveling yourself up, even if that kind of professional development is not offered within your company. The soft skills are much harder. Getting general business acumen, getting practice with communication, having hard conversations, presenting in a meeting, knowing what information the key stakeholders want. What are those kinds of conversations like? How do you navigate those? And how do you handle some of the challenges and emotional things when there's conflict that kind of come up between different players in the organization? And getting all of those skills is where the money's at. So technical skills, hard skills have kind of a cap on salary. The other ones are what breaks through the glass ceiling. So do not ignore those. If you do, it's at your own peril of career growth. It is also why I created the Level Up Hub, because the hard skills you can get in your area of expertise, the soft ones, it's really, really nice to have a supportive community and group of people that are cheering you on and where you want to go around you. I am running a free trial right now for 7 days. So if you want to come check it out for free, there's a link in the description box. Being afraid to advocate for yourself. This one I made over and over and over because, and maybe this is just for us women, but we're taught from a very young age to be a certain way. And so I suppressed a lot of the things that I felt that I wanted to kind of speak out against. And I didn't learn how to navigate difficult conversations until much later in my career. And it is, if I was going to kind of regret anything, if you will, it's that I didn't tackle that as a skill sooner, because having hard conversations really does make the difference in terms of your ability to go where you want to in your career. All of the things that I thought would occur as a result of having hard conversations actually didn't happen. The outcomes were great and not terrible. And so all of the fears that I had that prevented me from kind of really developing the skill of being able to have hard conversations ended up all being in my head. Yes, hard conversations are hard, but most people do not have that skill developed well enough, and that's what makes them so difficult. And the longer you hold back from developing the skill of, say, hard conversations, the harder it is to have hard conversations, and the more that you hold back from having them. And so don't be afraid to be fully you, but be the best version of you. Advocate for the things that are important to you, the values that you want. You'd be surprised the consequences that you think are there in your head, as long as you do it in a respectful and collaborative way, heading towards the vision for your own career growth as well as the company's. And you merge all these things together, the outcomes, I can't say it with 100% certainty because I'm not going to be there when you have these difficult conversations or you advocate for yourself, but I can say with a fair amount of certainty based on my own experiences. In the beginning, I really sucked at it and I just kept working on it, and the outcomes were far, far better than I could have ever imagined. I can share all of these mistakes with you, but unless you're ready to take action, right now you're acquiring knowledge and nothing's actually going to change for you. So if you're ready to take action and change your life, get unstuck, stop being invisible, I have compiled all of this in the Level Up Hub, and I'd love it if you would come join me. By the way, YouTube thinks that if you like this video, that you might like this one next. Take care, be brave, and stay true to yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.